Wow, when your tenant stops paying rent, that's a really tough problem and one that landlords really struggle with. And I know because I see them on the forums asking the questions, well, about the 5th of every month. So the number one thing to remember when you have a tenant not paying rent is it's the term empathetic education. And empathy is really important. We want to empathize. We understand what it's like to not be able to pay a bill, and we understand what it's like when you need a little bit of leniency. So we can be empathetic toward our tenants and the people that we're working with, but it's not our job to solve the problem. So that's where the education comes in, and often that's where landlords struggle. I don't know what to say. Well, what you're gonna say is, I completely understand, and here's some things you need to understand about your lease. On the 4th of the month, a late fee is going to be charged. On the 8th of the month, the notice to quit is going to be posted. And then this will happen and this will happen. And honestly, what I found is it takes the fear out of it for the tenant. The tenant's very scared. They're nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. And so when you can inform them what will happen and when, it enables them to make better decisions for their situation. Now, additionally, a tip you might use is be the manager for your property. So never present yourself as the property owner. Instead, you can be Corey, the property manager. And you can even have a card made up. And this can give you just a little bit of distance. Most people have a difficult time when confronted with something emotional like maybe late rent. And so by being the manager, you can say, well, let me check the policy on that, or I can check with the owner and get back to you. And I know that's a little bit of a farce, but it's one that helps just make you more comfortable in this situation. I don't think you're mistreating anybody when you represent yourself as the property manager. The last tip I might give you is don't let the first time you think about this be when the rent isn't paid. Think about it at the beginning of the process. So what am I gonna do? What date does late fees get charged? When do I post this? Because when you need to give this tenant leadership and guidance and education, you need to know what it is that is gonna happen. And so thinking through that, maybe getting the advice from a mentor or an educator would be a really great tip so that when that eventuality happens, you're just really well prepared. So really what this all means is the difference between being successful in the real estate investment is in preparation. Because truthfully, the unprepared landlord, in my experience, is gonna lose 2 to 3 months more rent than the prepared landlord, simply because when they're confronted with this problem, they just follow their instinct, and their instinct is to just put it off and avoid conflict. Well, that usually results in a larger eviction judgment, just quite honestly.